Welcome to Dragonfly Within, a space for creativity, reflection, and becoming. Here we explore art, life, and the quiet moments in between. There's no need to have it all figured out. Just bring your curiosity and meet yourself where you are. Becoming begins where you are. We often believe that becoming starts later, after clarity arrives, after a plan is formed, after confidence settles in. We wait for the moment when things feel certain, when the path looks clear, when we feel ready enough to begin. But becoming doesn't wait for those conditions. It begins quietly, right where we are. Most of life is lived without a map. We move forward carrying questions instead of answers, feelings instead of instructions. And yet, something is always unfolding beneath the surface. Becoming isn't a dramatic transformation that announces itself all at once. It's subtle. It's ordinary. It happens while we're unsure, while we're tired, while we're doing the best we can with what's in front of us. There is a gentleness in allowing yourself to begin without clarity. It means letting go that you must not know where you've headed before you take the first step. It means trusting that movement itself creates understanding. Often, we don't clarify by thinking our way into it. We gain it by living. For artists and creatives especially, the pressure to have vision or a plan can feel heavy. We're told to define ourselves, to articulate our goals, to know exactly what we're making and why. But creativity doesn't always work that way. Sometimes it begins as a feeling, a pull, a quiet curiosity that can't yet be named. Sometimes the work reveals itself only after we start. Becoming begins in the moment you sit down to create without knowing how it'll turn out. It begins when you make something simply because it feels necessary, not because it's productive or impressive. It begins when you allow yourself to be a beginner again, uncertain, open, and willing to learn. There is courage in starting without a plan. It asks you to trust yourself rather than the outcome. It asks you to stay present instead of rushing towards a destination. When you stop demanding answers from the future, you can pay closer attention to what the present is offering. Where you are right now is not a mistake. The pauses, the confusion, the unfinished pieces, they are part of the process. Becoming doesn't require you to fix yourself before you begin. It doesn't ask for perfection or certainty. It asks only that you show up. Often we underestimate the power of small beginnings. A single brushstroke, a quiet thought spoken aloud, a few minutes of honest reflection. These moments don't look significant from the outside, but they are how change actually happens. Slowly, repeatedly, almost unnoticed. Clarity tends to arrive in hindsight. We look back and realize that what felt like wandering was actually shaping us. That the questions we carried were forming our values. That the uncertainty taught us how to listen inward. At the time, it rarely feels meaningful. It just feels unfinished. Becoming is not about arriving somewhere else. It's learning how to stay within yourself as you change. It's about allowing growth to unfold at its own pace, without forcing it into a timeline. When you realize the need to know what comes next, you make room for something truer to emerge. There is permission in this way of living. Permission to begin again. Permission to move slowly. Permission to trust that you are not behind. You are exactly where becoming begins. You don't need a 5-year plan to take the next honest step. You don't need clarity to honor what you feel drawn to. You don't need confidence to begin. Confidence grows from beginning. So if you find yourself standing at the edge of something undefined, unsure of what you're becoming or where you're heading, let that be enough. Start where you are. Speak from where you are. Create from where you are. Becoming isn't waiting for you in the future. It's already happening. Quietly, patiently, right here. I know when I sit in my studio, sometimes I sit there just staring at a canvas, waiting for answers to come to me, waiting for guidance to know where to start. And then I realize it all begins with a single stroke. And that's when the magic begins. So I have a few reflections for you to think about as we wrap this up. What season of life are you in? And what does beginning gently look like for you? And remember, becoming doesn't rush. It unfolds. Thank you for spending this time with me in Dragonfly Within. If something here stayed with you, let it land gently. There's no rush. Growth happens in its own time. Until next time, keep listening inward and trust what's unfolding within you.